Hello, welcome to Science, Mr. Robertson once again, and this video for Year 6 at the moment is on telling the time. Telling the time. How we, through history, have told the time. I'm going to do a little bit of video now and we'll just see how it goes, because at the moment I'm here at school. I can tell you the time is 17:42. And I'm very lucky because with digital clocks we're able to very precisely know the time. That was not true a long time ago. This would not be possible. So there was different ways people had to try and work out what the time actually was. And it starts off with, of course, the thing that tells us what every day is: the sun. So the sun, of course, as we all know, the sun's path goes up in the east and goes down in the west. And that is the same for everybody on Earth, because the Earth is spinning. So the Earth is always spinning in the same direction. So it's always up in the east and always down in the west. And of course that point here, the highest point of the sun's path, is what we call noon. It is the middle of the day. So it's easy to see when the middle of the day is, because that would be when they get to this point here. And of course the time from there would be the same as the time to there. So we could tell, and guess a little bit where in this line we were. And this was how people tried to work out things like mornings, afternoons and evenings. There was some way to tell some kind of time. However, to make it more precise, we had to use the sun, and we had to use the idea of shadow. Now, of course, a shadow is if I have a light here, here's a bulb here, and of course the light goes out in every direction. Every single bit of light, as we know, goes in one direction. Light travels in a straight line, but the light spreads out in every direction. If I have a person standing here, on the ground here, the light coming in this direction, there is going to be a shadow going probably in this direction, probably about this big, and there will be a shadow on the floor, something a little bit like that. That's probably a really bad picture. Anyway, there'll be a shadow on the floor based on the bits that don't get the light. So we could use this, because the sun is not staying in one place. The light is moving all the time during the day. What we actually make is something called a sundial. A sundial is a great way to tell what the time actually is. It's basically a big stick. And what that stick does is it makes a shadow. So if the sun was going around like this, then the shadow would start off in this direction in the morning, go maybe over here at noon, and come in this direction in the evening. And if I split this down into sections, and then I can work out how long it takes in between, and I can start to work out what the time is, because the sun's motion always goes up in the east and always down in the west. It's not perfect, because we have seasons. And in summer, the days are really long, and in winter, the day is really short. So it doesn't always work exactly, because it's not exactly the same. But it is a really good way for telling the time. Away from that, if we're going to use anything else to tell the time, one thing we can use mechanically is of course a clock. So thankfully clocks have been invented, and clocks are based on a gear system. They're an interlocking system. If you open up a clock, that's so embarrassingly bad, but you will find geared. It's so much more stressful trying to draw when you're on video. But basically, you see these start to turn each other. You get a constant rate of motion that is always the same speed, so it keeps the time. Really, really good. Another way is, of course, to use some kind of what we call in English an hourglass. So I could have one like this here, and of course it could be sand or it could be water, and then if I just close it off a little bit there, the water only gets through in little drops, and that can run for maybe 1 minute. I could maybe make it, if I had a bigger one, maybe it would last for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. There's another way of telling time. It's something we're very lucky, we don't have to think about. We can just pull our phones out and know what the time is. Before, it wasn't that simple, and it certainly has changed. In the lab, we are going to use our knowledge of the sun and the seasons to do a project about sundials. So remember what a sundial is for the labs. Thank you very much. Take care.